Good morning, friends. Today I am here with Breathing and Exchange of Gases, Part 2 of 11th Standard. In this session, we are going to discuss about steps of respiration, mechanism of breathing, respiratory volumes and capacities, exchange of gases, transport of gases, and transport of oxygen. So let us start the session with steps of respiration. There are 5 different steps of respiration. First is breathing or pulmonary ventilation. During this process, atmospheric air is drawn in and carbon dioxide rich alveolar air is released out. Second step is diffusion of gases across the alveolar membrane. Now in the third step, gases are transported through blood. Then there is diffusion of oxygen and carbon dioxide between blood and tissues. And at last, oxygen is utilized by the cells for catabolic reactions with the release of carbon dioxide. So in this way, 5 steps are involved in the respiration process. Now the next topic is about mechanism of breathing. Mechanism of breathing involves two main processes, that is inspiration and expiration. Here we are going to discuss both the process one by one. First, it is about inspiration. Inspiration is also called as inhalation. Inspiration is the combined action of ribs and diaphragm. And due to this combined action, the thoracic cavity increases in size, as a result of which there is decrease in pressure in the lungs as compared to atmospheric pressure. And this causes rushing of air into the lungs through nostrils, trachea and bronchi. Now it is about expiration. This expiration is also called as exhalation. And expiration is just opposite to inspiration. This is also due to combined action of ribs and diaphragm. But this time thoracic cavity decreases in size. And this causes increase in the pressure in the lungs as compared to atmospheric pressure. This increase in pressure in the lungs causes compressing of lungs, and that forces the air out into the atmosphere. In the given figure, you may observe the functioning of diaphragm during inspiration and expiration. This figure clearly indicates about the mechanism of breathing, showing inhalation and exhalation. It is also about inspiration and expiration. Here it is clearly mentioned that during inspiration, volume of thorax increased, and during exhalation or expiration, volume of thorax is decreased. Now let us discuss about respiratory volumes and capacities. First, it is about tidal volume. Tidal volume is the volume of air normally inspired or expired in one breath without any effort. It is approx 500 ml, meaning thereby that a healthy man can inspire or expire about 6000 ml to 8000 ml of air per minute. How this happen? So let us see. As we know that a normal healthy person respire about 12 to 16 times in a minute. So 12 multiplied by 500 ml is equal to 6000 ml, and 16 multiplied by 500 ml is equal to 8000 ml. Tidal volume can be estimated by using a spirometer. Next is about inspiratory reserve volume. Inspiratory reserve volume is the extra amount of air which can be inhaled forcibly after a normal inspiration. It is about 2000 ml to 2500 ml. Now next is about expiratory reserve volume. It is the extra amount of air which can be exhaled forcibly after a normal expiration, and it is equivalent to 1000 ml to 1500 ml. Now we are going to discuss about residual volume. Some airs always remains in the lungs even after forcible expiration. This amount of air is called residual volume, and it is about 1100 ml to 1200 ml. The residual air enables the lungs to continue exchange of gases even after maximum exhalation. Then it is about inspiratory capacity. It is the total volume of air which can be inhaled after a normal expiration, and it is equal to the tidal volume plus the inspiratory reserve volume, and it is about 2500 ml to 3000 ml. Now it is about expiratory capacity. It is the total volume of air a person can expire after a normal inspiration. This includes tidal volume and expiratory reserve volume, and it is about 1500 ml to 2000 ml. Now we will discuss about functional residual capacity. It is the sum total of residual volume and expiratory reserve volume, and it is about 2500 ml to 3000 ml. Now let us discuss about vital capacity of lung. It is the maximum volume of air a person can breathe in after a forced expiration, or the maximum volume of air a person can breathe out after a forced inspiration. It is the sum total of expiratory reserve volume plus tidal volume plus inspiratory reserve volume, and it is about 3500 ml to 4500 ml. Now we will discuss about total lung capacity. Total lung capacity is the amount of air inhaled or exhaled forcibly plus residual volume. So it is the sum total of residual volume, expiratory reserve volume, tidal volume and inspiratory reserve volume, or vital capacity and residual volume, and it is about 5000 ml to 6000 ml. This is the representation of lungs volume and capacity. Now the next topic is about exchange of gases. Alveoli of the lungs are the primary site of exchange of gases. Exchange of gases also takes place between blood and tissues. Diffusion plays an important role during the exchange of gases between oxygen and carbon dioxide. This exchange of gases mainly based on pressure or concentration gradient. Diffusion is directly proportional to the partial pressure gradient of gases on the two sides of the membrane, between them, thickness of the membrane, surface area of the membrane, and also permeability of the membrane. In the body tissue, oxygen is utilized and carbon dioxide is released. The blood, which brings air from the lungs and carries it to the tissue has a higher concentration of oxygen and lower concentration of carbon dioxide. So due to difference in the concentration, gases get exchanged between tissues and blood capillaries. Pressure contributed by an individual gas in a mixture of gases is called partial pressure, and it is represented by PO2 for oxygen and PCO2 for carbon dioxide. Partial pressure is equal to the total pressure of the mixture divided by percentage of that gas in the mixture. As we know that solubility of carbon dioxide is 20 to 25 times higher than that of oxygen. So the amount of carbon dioxide that can diffuse through the diffusion membrane per unit difference in partial pressure is much higher as compared to that of oxygen. Here it is the diagrammatic representation of exchange of gases at the alveolus and the body tissues with blood and transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide. The given figure indicates about the section of an alveolus with a pulmonary capillary. Now the next topic is about transport of gases. In our body, blood is flowing throughout the body. So transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide is done through blood. About 97% of oxygen is transported by red blood cells in the blood, and the remaining 3% of oxygen is transported in a dissolved state through the plasma. Meanwhile, about 20 to 25% of carbon dioxide is transported by red blood cells, and 70% of carbon dioxide is transported as bicarbonates, and about 7% of carbon dioxide is carried in a dissolved state through plasma. Now we will discuss about transport of oxygen. As we know that hemoglobin is present in the red blood cells, and this is called as carrier of oxygen. So hemoglobin combine with oxygen to form oxyhemoglobin. Each molecules of hemoglobin carry maximum 4 molecules of oxygen. Binding of oxygen with hemoglobin is also related to partial pressure of oxygen. Partial pressure of carbon dioxide, hydrogen ion concentration and temperature are the factors which interfere the binding of oxygen with hemoglobin. So in the alveoli, where there is high partial pressure of oxygen, low partial pressure of carbon dioxide, lesser hydrogen ion concentration and lower temperature are the favorable conditions or situations for combining oxygen with hemoglobin to form oxyhemoglobin. In the tissues where there is low partial pressure of oxygen and high partial pressure of carbon dioxide, high hydrogen ion concentration and higher temperature, then these conditions are favorable for dissociation of oxygen from the oxyhemoglobin. Thus oxygen combined with hemoglobin in the lung surface and dissociate at the tissue surface. It has been estimated that every 100 ml of oxygenated blood can deliver or transport about 5 ml of oxygen to the tissues under normal physiological condition. So this is all about today's session. Thank you. For any kind of doubts, please write your questions in comment section.